Hey everybody, we're back again. It's the 29th of December, so it's after Christmas, before New Year's, and figured it was a good enough time. We'll go ahead and get into some updated Screen Actors Guild Award nomination predictions. So we've got the nominations announced here on the 12th of January, so that's 2 weeks from today, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, we'll get updated predictions here. We'll do final predictions a little later on, probably the weekend before or the Monday or probably Monday. I don't want to cut it that close. But I guess you never know with these, right? I mean, SAG almost always throws a curveball or two at us in the race. As we've seen in the last couple of years, sometimes their nominees do not cross over to Best Picture. Last year was one of their, relatively speaking, in recent memory, one of the worst records for the number of films that cross over from Ensemble to Best Picture. There was only 2 out of the 5 last year. But yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll go into what I'm thinking right now and where I've got stuff ranked, who's really close, stuff like that. And otherwise, I did do a little bit of homework here over the holidays. So when the film comes up or doesn't come up, then we'll talk about it here. But it's only 3 of them, and one of them is not even really going to be an Oscar contender. But I was like, I wanted to see it, so I'll just I started out with that one on my list of movies to see that I missed in the theater or they're streaming now or whatever. So yeah. So anyways, the first one on the list was Free Guy. So that one I just watched for fun, and I had fun with the movie. It's very funny in some spots. Ryan Reynolds is as charismatic as he always is. Jodie Comer, I hadn't really seen her in anything except maybe a supporting role, like 1 or 2 places here and there where you don't even pick her out. But no, she was actually a really good matchup for Ryan Reynolds, even though she's maybe like 15 years, 20 years younger than he is, something like that. I don't know, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it's, yeah. But still, they were nice together. You had a fun villain in there with Taika Waititi. And it was, I felt overall the movie really explored its ideas pretty well. There were some missed opportunities, I feel like. The whole thing, I guess it's a minor spoiler, but the whole thing of what Ryan Reynolds actually is, I feel like they touch on it a little bit and then they don't really go anywhere with it. Like, they don't fully explore the concept, whereas almost every other concept or small idea that's introduced in the movie, they kind of go through, okay, what else would happen here? What are some other avenues we can go down? They obviously you can't cover everything in an hour and 45-minute movie or whatever. But I thought a lot of the other ideas, they explore plenty of stuff. With that idea, which is kind of like a big thing in the plot, they don't really, they keep mentioning it, but it's not really like explored all that well. I mean, outside of the very basics of it. And I didn't really think that, I don't know, some of it was kind of forced and a little cliched. Some of the the very ending, not very, very ending, but the last scene that's kind of in the real world or whatever, totally predictable. You can see it coming from the 5th page of the script or whatever. As soon as a couple characters are introduced, you're like, okay, yep, that's where the movie's going, or at least where it's very likely to end, unless they pull a really good gag out from under you or something. But they don't. No, they don't. They do pull their punches, if you will. They don't go for a huge gag there. But yeah. So it's, I don't know, I was kind of wavering on that one. I think I'm a 7 out of 10 on that one just because, it's funny. Not everything that, not all the jokes are all that funny, but enough of them land to where it's entertaining. Ryan Reynolds, again, is probably one of the best parts of the movie. The effects are pretty decent. Again, I think there's some missed opportunities there, but otherwise, it's a solid, fun movie. So yeah, there's a non-Oscar player one that I can recommend if you haven't seen that one yet. So yeah, we'll get that out of the way because I know that was one that was not going to come up. So jumping now into who I have for the ensemble nominees and stuff. I think I'll just go from the order of most likely to least likely in the 5, and then we'll go to our other contenders. Also Rands, if you will. So Belfast, I still have out front. I have it pretty much out front for everything right now. It's still way up there for the films I've seen this year. I haven't seen a whole bunch. I've probably broken, 12, 13 movies I've seen this year. I know it's a lot lower than normal, but yeah, we're still kind of in pandemic and stuff, so yeah. Anyways, so but yeah, Belfast I think will not have a problem here. It's a pretty good mix of TV actors, movie actors, a nice knit ensemble where it doesn't feel like, it's only like 2 or 3 people. It's like, no, when you branch out, it's like, yeah, there's plenty of stuff in there. Kids are in it, Jojo Rabbit and a couple other films like Captain Fantastic show that if you've got a kid-friendly or a kid-included cast, they can almost always surprise us there. So I really don't see Belfast faltering here, of course. It's almost a shoo-in for a nominee here. This would probably even bigger than like The Post or Shape of Water. Well, maybe not Shape of Water. Shape of Water we all thought was a really likely contender there in 2017 around this time too. So it would be kind of on the level of like a more Shape of Water, less so The Post, for if it misses here. The next one I have is Power of the Dog. Yeah, and it does feel like these two are your just about everywhere else. Best Picture at the Oscars, Globes, Critics' Choice, BAFTA, assuming they both make the short list and everything. Feels like it's going to come down to these two in most races for your overall film prize. So, yeah, again, this one, decent cast. You got about, I think I counted like 8 or 9 that would be included with the ensemble there, which is a good sweet spot there. And it's Netflix, as we all know. SAG loves Netflix. So, I don't really see that one missing. So then I go into the films that some people think are likely. Other ones are like, ooh, they're really close. And I'm like, yeah, these feel like SAG contenders to me. The first one of these 3, so it's ranked 3rd in my rankings, is CODA. And I did finally catch up with this one. I have to say, this actually, while I was watching it and after it was over, I was like, damn, I think I like that just as much as Belfast. If not, maybe ever so slightly a little bit more. But yeah, that was right after. Now, I've had a couple days to think about it now. And I'm like, yeah, it's still, I wouldn't probably list it above Belfast, but it's definitely a close second there for the films I've seen this year that have totally blown me away. Yeah, I guess real quick on review for that one. I mean, the cast is really, really good, tight-knit. Troy Kutsar, really good. Marlee Matlin, good. The little Amelia Jones, I think is her name, the main actress. She's really, really good, really stand out there. The music teacher was great. The brother was great. Even the love interest was interesting. Yeah, there's a couple other characters that kind of bounce around there, but again, it's a smaller cast. But this one, I mean, just the fact that it does have a couple of deaf actors in it. And it is pretty involved there in the community there for that. I think SAG will go for this one. The fact that it did get a Globe nomination and a Critics' Choice nomination for film, I think it's going to stick around, and it's a really great movie. And I think, yeah, some people complained or criticized a little bit. Yeah, it's a basic story. There's nothing there that you haven't seen before, except for maybe a couple things here and there for how it's, how some people interact with the deaf characters in the film in this context. There's, maybe a couple things you haven't seen. You can't, immediately go to another film there. But yeah, the coming of age stuff, I still enjoyed it. Especially, yeah, this last decade, I've kind of gotten sick of the coming of age movies. But no, this one I was a little more on board for than the other ones. I liked it better than Lady Bird, better than 8th Grade, some of those other ones. Yeah, I would definitely list this above it. Yeah, and it's, use music really well. Yeah, really, really good. And Kutsar, we'll get to him here, because I kind of get the feeling, and I don't want to make too rough a comparison here, because the role and the way it's performing right now does remind me of Paul Raci last year in Sound of Metal. And again, I don't want to link the two just because they both play deaf guys or whatever. But no, just also in the way of the performance where it's like, okay, there's a couple of scenes where you're like, okay, here's your potential Oscar clip, kind of moments. Otherwise, it's a very subdued, kind of quieter performance. And it's one that, allows the actor enough time to just kind of grow on you without pushing on you, without being the big abrasive, without going into the big speeches and the screaming and the hollering and everything that sometimes is great and sometimes does get you the Oscar. But but no, the quieter, again, I'm always really, really impressed by the quieter, more subdued stuff that really does latch onto you here. So yeah, he's definitely the standout here of the cast. He's the one. I hope he gets a lot more roles because he's great. And of course, like I said, all the rest of them are good. And Marlee Matlin, of course, has had a really good career, and I'm sure she'll continue after this as well. But yeah, I really did like the family dynamic there. They do feel like an actual family. They go into really some of the messy details of living under the same house, especially in their condition where it's like the house is kind of falling apart. There's not a lot of money. Obviously, the whole world around them, with very few exceptions, is kind of like, oh, there's the deaf people, and they kind of move on. They're not downright hostile to them. They're not, totally putting them down. But it's very much okay, you're over here, hi, okay, we're over here, okay, move on kind of deal. But yeah, and I think it doesn't linger way too much on that. It doesn't totally make them complete and utter victims of every last thing that happens in the movie or whatever. It's like, there's just circumstances that come up where it's like, okay, well, in actual fact, that's just how it goes. That's how, the deaf community, that's how they have to live. That's how they have to get by and stuff. And it doesn't sugarcoat everything, and it doesn't oppress everything. If you get what I mean, it's not too far of an extreme one way or the other. It's just here. These are people. These are their lives. This is how they live and stuff. So I really enjoyed it. And I do think, I think it's a 10 out of 10 for me. It's definitely one I think I'll rewatch again, and maybe the second or third time I might like it a little less or a little more, just depending on my mood and stuff. But no, on the initial impression, this one, the initial viewing, this one really left a good impression on me, and I really, really did enjoy this one. And I'm rooting for it. Whatever this gets nominated for, good. It's good. All right, so that's that one. The next one I have here on the list is The Harder They Fall. And again, this is one I was like, you know what? This just feels like one of those SAG nominees. Kind of like a couple of the ones in the past, like Beast of No Nation, where that was a big Netflix one with a pretty, either all black or mostly black or African-American cast. And the same way you had that with The Five Bloods last year. The Harder They Fall, I think, is sticking around enough in the conversation. I think it is going to get in. And I think it's one that, again, the Netflix factor is really what's going to push that one over the edge. If this was from Sony or from Universal or something, I think it would maybe struggle a little more. But I think Netflix, they have their upfront with Power of the Dog. I think that's their bellwether. That's the one they're like, okay, this is the one we're putting all, 90% of our money toward or whatever. And that's exaggerating, of course. We know they're probably a little more even than that. But no, this is the one at SAG. I think they're going to push a little harder than Don't Look Up. And yeah, I'll get to another very specific reason why I'm not putting a lot of confidence in Don't Look Up in a second. We'll get there. Plus, I did see that one, so yeah, we'll get to that one here in a second. But yeah, so I just feel like that one is one that's going to get in. And again, looking at the cast, again, you've got a pretty good mix of people that have done some TV stuff and other ones who are, more movie stars or have appeared in other movies before that Screen Actors voters especially have probably either seen, or maybe they even acted with a lot of these folks. So this feels like one that's going to get in. Mudbound's another one where it's like, okay, even though that one, we knew was not 100% going to make it for Best Picture. A lot of people were gunning for it, like they were hopeful for it. This also feels like it's in that wheelhouse. And in fifth place, I have King Richard. And King Richard, I'm very close on this one. This is kind of a cliffhanger for me, whether it's this or it's West Side Story, because both feel very, very possible. Now with King Richard, again, you've got a pretty. This one's a little more diverse. It's not just Will Smith and the three other gals there. It's John Bernthal. It's a few others there. So it's not just black people in the movie. In other words, yeah. So anyways, but yeah, and I've still to see this one, but yeah, I think this one overall just has a little bit of that rooting factor that I think SAG voters can get behind. It's very likely to get at least 2 other nominations there in supporting actress and lead actor. So I feel like this one will make the cut, but again, it's going to be really close because West Side Story also does put forth a little bit more of a diverse cast, more in the Latino community, of course. And also that one, because it's weird because both King Richard and West Side Story, I mean, one thing you can talk about that's kind of a negative for both is the box office or lack thereof. Obviously, like we've kind of been saying here over the past, relatively last couple months, has been the adult dramas are kind of struggling back, to get back to the box office. Belfast, as sure, it was kind of a limited run and stuff, but that is topping out right now at about $7 million. I'm sure if it gets nominated and gets a bunch of nominations and maybe wins, maybe then they'll re-release it and it makes it to 10, 15 or more million. But yeah, King Richard, last I checked at the worldwide box office, was like at maybe 40, which, with Serena and Venus Williams, you'd think more people would go out to see it. And was Will Smith in the leading role? Especially considering that he's a front runner for the Oscars, and a lot of people have been saying for a long time that Will Smith deserves an Oscar. I don't know. I thought there'd be a little bit more of an appetite for that one. And of course, it was on HBO Max, and I think it's gone now. I think it'll come back in a few weeks, months, whatever. Straight here, but no, I think that definitely did impact it a little bit there. It did come out close to Thanksgiving too, so I think if there were some families that maybe wanted to see it, that was a little bit of a rougher situation where it's like, okay, do we want to just sit back and turn on HBO Max after our meal here and watch the movie, or do we want to pack everything up and go to the theater? And it's like, okay, clearly if that was a thing, then I think a lot of people chose the at-home option. And plus, I didn't, because I read it was only like 2 hours and like 10 minutes or something, but no, it's actually closer to 2.5. So also the runtime might impact it there. And definitely the same goes for West Side Story. That one is over 2.5 hours. And that one too, I would initially, because it was a December release and stuff, I'd be a little more wary on it because it's like, okay, well, Spielberg in December, The Post, remember what happened there? So it's like it doesn't always work out for that Ensemble nomination or any nomination generally that year. This one, though, again, I think with this one, though, the critic reception and, audience reception and stuff, even though, again, it's yet to crack, that one I think is also under 40 million so far at the box office, doing maybe ever so slightly better than King Richard. But also having a tough time at the box office is West Side Story. I still think the audience reaction, everything, it does signal all good stuff. So I still think this one is close. I'm not saying it's close enough to get in, but it's definitely going to be either King Richard or West Side Story, unless one of the other two, CODA or Harder They Fall, does fall away. But yeah, that's going to be close. That's going to be close. So I think, yeah, West Side Story would be number 6 for me. But and I don't think they have ever had 6 nominees for Ensemble, but that'd be a good way to settle it, right? Okay. Let's see. So I think one of the next ones people are going to is Don't Look Up. And I do have to say this. I did see Don't Look Up. And I was a little dismayed by that last trailer. I was like, oh, this just the trailer just didn't do it for me. And I don't know. It was Christmas. I think it came out Christmas Eve or whatever. And, I'm just sitting there, and then my brother turned on. He was watching Get Out for like the 18th time. He loves that movie. Well, who doesn't, right? Anyways, but he had that one on. I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah. The ending's good, of course. I told you not to go in that house. So I was like, okay. I chuckled over that. Went back to my phone or whatever, and then all of a sudden I'm like, he turned on something else, and I kind of look up, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's Jennifer. Oh, that's right, it's out today. Don't Look Up. And he's like, you didn't recognize this one? I'm like, it just came out today, dumbass. Anyways, yeah, he's always like, I don't know. He always does that. If the movie comes on TV or whatever, it's like after the opening logo, he tells me, okay, you got to guess which one it is. I don't know. Sometimes I get it, sometimes not. But anyways, just a hint out there for you guys who want to play that at home. If it's Comedy Central and the opening thing is New Line, it's probably Dumb and Dumber. Anyways, so there's your trivia for the day. But anyway, so this one I was like, yeah, I was gonna see it. Definitely it's still in the race and everything. So I'm like, yeah. Of course I'm going to get to it, but I, didn't anticipate I'd get to it that early. And yeah, so I, kind of the movie starts, I'm like, it's all right, And overall, I think the movie, I'm going to recommend it, but on the slimmest margin. on the very slimmest of margins, I'm giving this a pass with a 6 out of 10. Ever so slight margin. And we'll get into it. We'll get into it without spoiling anything. Because number one, I think the movie has enough laughs. It has enough laughs to get you through. From the trailer and stuff, I was kind of surprised. The Jonah Hill character I thought was going to fall flat. He was the saving grace of the movie. 100% when it came to the laughs, when it came to the, I would imagine, improv and everything. He saved the day. Because almost every time he's on screen and he has a major part, I laughed. He really did a good job in this from that aspect. Is it like, obviously it's not a big more dramatic side performance like True Story, which I never saw, but it looked like a, pretty strict drama there. Or even Moneyball. But definitely a little, this one I would say is a little bit more likely a nominee than something like his performance in Wolf of Wall Street, which was nominated. But no, I thought he was funny in this. I mean, he did have some great one-liners in there he's kind of insulting, and I did appreciate that. I thought that was good. I don't know. Otherwise, I guess we can go around the cast here real quick. DiCaprio was good. He had enough good moments of character and stuff. The accent kind of bugged me a little bit because it was kind of there and not there, but I'm like, well, I guess people from Michigan, I guess it is kind of true. It's like, yeah, it does kind of go that way. It's not like Fargo where it's like it's always about the O's and the ah, and all that stuff. It's like, that is a little more constant. I went to school in Minnesota, so I can, say from experience there. But with Michigan folks, it's like, yeah, you do kind of sometimes get a little bit of that accent in there too, but it's not always a constant. So I guess that's fair enough as it was there. Jennifer Lawrence was fine. She didn't really get that, way too many Oscar-y moments or whatever. DiCaprio gets one kind of toward the start of the third act or whatever. He does get one good yelling scene in there and stuff, and it's like, yeah, it maybe went on a tad too long for me. I would have cut it off a little bit earlier. It does have a kind of a good follow-up there with a good gag right away, but still, good, decent performance from him. I don't think he's necessarily looking at Oscar nomination number, 7 or 8 for him, but no, yeah, he was good, and Jennifer Lawrence was good. Jonah Hill definitely was one of the show stealers there. God, I gotta look at who else. I mean, obviously there's a whole bunch of people in the cast. I don't know. Some of the cast I was okay with. Let's see, what's his name? Let's see, I'm gonna have to look this up here because I feel like I've seen him before, but I just can't place him. Rob Morgan, who's kind of the third fiddle there of the main scientist characters. He had a couple of good laughs in there. We mentioned Jonah Hill. Let's see, I'm just looking at the cast list here. Mark Rylance kind of annoyed me a little bit in this one. I know his character is supposed to be annoying, and he's supposed to be a very eccentric kind of Steve Jobs type, but I kind of got sick of him. The cap teeth or whatever, those were kind of funny. Meryl Streep was fine playing the president. I mean, definitely, I think some of the circumstances around her are funnier than her performance, but that's, nothing against her. That's just more of the script. Let's see. Timothée Chalamet was fine. He's introduced kind of late in the movie. I was kind of surprised. Well, obviously, the way it's set up, it's like, you don't expect him to pop up 10 minutes in or whatever, but yeah, I mean, he was fine with the part he was in. Ron Perlman kind of shows up almost out of nowhere in this movie, and he is hilarious. I mean, every other line had me cracking up, because he is just the most uber conservative, racist, like, biggest stereotype, but they embrace it to a level where it was just hilarious. I mean, just so over the top, but at the same time, almost believable. I just, and he's not in it that much. He's not like a huge main character or anything. He gets maybe 4 minutes of screen time altogether, but I gotta admit, I enjoyed him a lot for the amount he was in it. Let's see, who else? I don't know, most everybody else was kind of, in their spots, and then they were kind of gone. I think Cate Blanchett's one of the last ones there, but she kind of had a bigger role than I was anticipating there, but it's obviously not a big Oscar-friendly role by any means, and she's fine. But it's, and she's always good and everything, like Streep and like some of these other ones here. They're always good, but, nothing that really stood out to me here. otherwise, like I said, I think just the laughs of the movie are enough to recommend it for me. Because as far as a lot of the social commentary and stuff, political commentary, the stuff that is there and stuff, it's especially from Adam McKay and what he's been doing lately. This is nothing new. I mean, just absolutely nothing new. A lot of the commentary on like social media and about how literally the world could be coming to an end, but we're more focused on the pop stars and their relationships. It's like, okay, well, that's real life, right? I mean, I mean, whether you look at it, from many different angles of how things are going to shit, whether it's climate change, global warming, or it's race relations, or it's COVID now, or name any other thing that can happen that can kind of alter life in a big way, all that stuff. It's like yeah, it's like it's stuff we've seen before. I mean, it's stuff that it's nothing new. And I was kind of frankly a little more surprised that they were just so direct with it, because it's like, usually Adam McKay's a little snappier than that with his commentary and stuff, other than maybe like Anchorman 2, where there was almost the exact same stuff happening there, where it's like, okay, there's legit news, but we're more focused on other stuff, That was a little more obvious, but of course it's called Anchorman, so there's going to be news stories and stuff in it, so anyways. But yeah, it was kind of funny though, because I was like, this is definitely, with the comedy beats especially, it's more Anchorman and it's less The Big Short and less Vice, some of his more newer stuff, which I was a little surprised at. I thought it would be a little closer to that, a little bit more semi-dramatic, more like a somewhat dramedy, if you will. But no, I mean, other than maybe the very ending where it did get kind of almost melodramatic a little bit, surprisingly, it didn't really have all that many very serious moments, which I appreciated in some respects, because it is a comedy after all, so you do have to have the laugh moments, and it does have them. And then there's also kind of a reveal about a little over halfway through, where it's like, oh, so this is something else that's going on now. It's like, when that happened, like as soon as a certain character enters into the picture in a certain way, you're like, oh, I know exactly what this is. And it's nothing new. It's nothing you won't find in any other movie trying to say something about how life goes and about how we all prosper or don't prosper, or how the world's going to end, or whatever. All that stuff. It's like, again, there's nothing new this movie has to offer in that respect. Plus, I thought the second half, as it went on, it did start to drag. And I really thought, especially when we get into DiCaprio and his stuff, in the second half, more of his personal life stuff, again, not that interesting, and they kind of dwelt on that for a while. Same with Jennifer Lawrence's character. They get into her personal life a little bit, and again, it's not all that interesting. It's not all that, nothing groundbreaking again with that stuff. And you're just kind of waiting for the comet to hit. You're waiting for the ball to drop, whatever. You're just kind of waiting for that to happen, and then, okay, when if it does happen, when it does happen, kind of deal. It's like, okay, well, that's how it goes, or whatever. It's like, there's nothing really, there's no big thing toward the end or whatever that really made me kind of jump out of my seat, like, oh, okay, this was kind of, maybe this was what they were going for the whole time. It's like, no, it just kind of just happens, whatever happens kind of deal. And I was like, I was kind of expecting them to, do something a little different there, but yeah, it is what it is at the end. And I did not, my brother turned it off, but I guess there is a post-credit scene, which could be, pretty funny or whatever. Yeah, we didn't get to it. So, yeah. So like I said, I think there's enough laughs in the movie and stuff that I am recommending it. The cast works well enough together, and everything there. So I am recommending it. I do think there's enough jokes in the movie, again, especially from the Jonah Hill character, and Ron Perlman. There's just enough there for me to say, okay, you know what? I would rather you see the movie and then think everything else what you will. Maybe a lot of people out there will like it better than I did. They'll appreciate the approach a little bit more than I did. But yeah, for me it was like, yeah, there's nothing really there in a lot of those kind of supposed to be important, semi-preachy scenes or whatever. It's like, yeah, it's nothing we don't know, or it's nothing we haven't heard already. It's nothing we haven't seen in a different movie. Yeah. But yeah. Otherwise, I do think there is just enough in there. I'm like, you know what? I don't care what you think about the other stuff. I think there's just enough laughs that I think everybody should sit down and take a look at it. Okay, so that's that one. Otherwise, for Ensemble, and yeah, sorry. Let me get back to it. So the other thing that really was a big thing for me, though, Netflix. Okay, you've got your couple contenders here and there every year, sure. But when it comes to your bigger stuff, like Marriage Story, like Mank, and now like Don't Look Up, don't fuck with the credits, dudes. I mean, unless maybe this is all directors speaking right now, whatever. But it's like, okay, you realize the SAG rules are it has to be a solo actor, right? The first time, if you have multiple actors on screen credited together, unless it's the first credit, it's not going to go into the ensemble. So technically, if I'm remembering correctly from this, the first kind of starring whatever, the credit there, it has both Leo and Jennifer Lawrence on it. And then after that, it kind of gradually introduces the other cast members, and then it kind of, once room runs out, then they, the other ones, slide off or whatever, and then it's, okay, here it's the next group or whatever. But it's always like multiple people on the screen together. So I'm like, okay, I don't know if that was Adam McKay's decision, I don't know if that was Netflix's decision, but you guys almost 100% cost yourself an ensemble nomination for that. And this is one with a big enough cast and stuff. Oh, this could have been a shoo-in. In a different year, this could have been a shoo-in. Well, obviously the reviews are really iffy on it right now. Last I checked, it was still at like the lower 50s, but it might have gone up or down since then. Let's see, where's it at right now? 55. Okay, that's, yeah, I thought last I saw it was like 52, 53. So it's, yeah, up ever so slightly. But still. But still, if it was the way it is right now, it would just be Jennifer Lawrence and Leonardo DiCaprio in the ensemble. Just like the way it would have been just Scarlett Johansson and Adam Driver in the ensemble for Marriage Story, even though, again, that one would have been a shoo-in. Potentially could have upset and won over Parasite if it was nominated. But no, they messed with the credits. And again, I don't know if that's directors, I don't know if that's Netflix, I don't know if that's the title designer company, whatever. No, that's I don't know. I just if it was me behind the scenes, I would have been like, guys, we got to make sure we're doing this correctly. So because SAG it's a pretty powerful piece of the puzzle here when it comes to your Oscar stuff. Because you've got, other than a couple examples here recently, it's like a lot of your Best Picture winners have to be at least nominated here. So, obviously, like I said, Green Book and Nomadland and Shape of Water notwithstanding, it's like Parasite, obviously, getting a big win there. That helped fuel it to win Best Picture, I think, in the ensemble win here, I mean. So it's a very important piece of the puzzle. Let's see. Any other contenders to look at here? I think Nightmare Alley is really starting to feel like it's slipping, especially in the Best Picture lineup. I think it was like 4th at one point on Gold Derby. Now it's down to like 8th or 9th, maybe 10th. Like, it is starting to really fall down there. And yeah, I don't know. Some people have been saying, okay, well, actually, because Cate Blanchett's in it too, it's like, well, is this Carol all over again? Where, it feels like it's a big contender and stuff, but then it only ends up in screenplay and the text. And a couple acting categories, too. But, I don't know. I mean, I could see it. I mean, I pulled Del Toro for Best Director. I don't think we'll have time to get into updated Oscar predictions. I didn't change way too much, by the way. So, we'll save that for another time. Maybe we might tag that on to the next video at some point. But still, with this one, I'm like, yeah, I can see it missing director, but still getting the picture nomination, since it's a solid 10 now. I don't know, and I haven't caught up with that one yet, but I just don't really get the sense that that's going to be a huge player at SAG here. And it was kind of a late hitter, and again, the later you hit, usually the worse off you are at SAG. Which again, West Side Story would be a little bit of an off example of that, but it still did screen like very late November, very early December, so I think it's just like kind of like Bombshell, a couple years ago when that got in. It's like, it's just, even though it's a late release, it's screened just in time kind of deal. Anyways, Being the Ricardos is one that kind of came in a little late, but that one I would actually put a little bit more stock in because Nicole Kidman feels pretty good right now to get a nomination pretty much across the board from now on, except maybe BAFTA if she misses a shortlist or whatever, or even if she makes a shortlist, she might miss. And then I think either J.K. Simmons or Javier Bardem, both of them are kind of getting some notices here and there. Simmons got in at Critics' Choice, and Bardem got one of the 5 nominees for Best Actor Drama at the Globes. So it's sticking around, and it looks like again it's a kind of knit enough ensemble. It's like okay, that might actually be one that kind of surprises us. It does look like it's also from Amazon. So if they want to, SAG is another one that kind of likes to spread it out a little bit once in a while. So that could be one where it's like okay, they might want to give that one something, in addition to Nicole Kidman, that is. Let's see. Otherwise, The French Dispatch is another one of those monster ensembles, kind of deal. That could just get in. I don't know. I just I have to remember here. Did Moonrise Kingdom did get in? Did it not for ensemble? I'm trying to remember if it did or not. I thought it did, but now I'm not remembering. I could have sworn it did. Let me look here. I can't find it now. It totally missed Screen Actors Guild. Okay, never mind. I was going to say, because I'm like, yeah, it feels like some of these Wes Anderson films, Grand Budapest Hotel is probably the one example everyone would go to is, getting in and stuff. But the rest of these, I don't remember them ever being like a SAG kind of movie. Like Royal Tenenbaums, I don't think got in, did it? No, that was one, maybe at the time that would have been a close one, but that didn't get in. Let's see, Life Aquatic, I think if that got anything, it was just the Globes, right? We got an ensemble nomination at Critics' Choice, but that's not what I was thinking. Anyways, but so I guess maybe in a different year that one would have had a better shot, but we just looked at Wes Anderson doesn't really have the best track record when it comes to ensembles there. Let's see, Licorice Pizza is one I don't know. I feel like again that one, even though it was a November release and stuff, it did kind of feel like a later one for some reason. I feel like SAG is not going to ignore it. Like they're not going to overlook it like they overlooked Phantom Thread here a few years ago. But I'm like, for ensemble, I don't think so. Dune is another one that's a very likely Best Picture nominee. I don't think so. A couple of the other ones that might be kind of friendly to this, like Mass or Passing or The Humans, they just don't feel like they're huge in the Best Picture race anymore. Versus this time last year, those 3 that did get in that were not Best Picture nominees, The Five Bloods, the name just escaped me, the Regina King one. Oh my god, wow. Well, then you had, oh my god, why am I failing right now? Oh, geez, Louise. God, I suck sometimes. Was it the 24th last year or something? No, not even close. I'm a few years off there. This last year was the 27th, wasn't it? Okay, yeah, here we go. Okay, so yeah, it was the ones I couldn't think of. Ma Rainey's and One Night in Miami. Jeez Louise. At this point in the race last year, we were almost all convinced Ma Rainey's was still going to get in for Best Picture. One Night in Miami, we were like, very likely going to get in for Best Picture. To Five Bloods, we were like, no, it's either going to do really well or it's just going to get like 1 or 2 or it's going to get nothing. We kind of, I don't know, I was kind of getting toward that track there around that time. But no, at this point, though, I mean, and obviously they're not direct comparisons or anything, but it's, no, I just don't think those movies, which, initially from one point of view or another might have benefited at SAG, I just don't really see the power for them right now. Okay, so let's move on to the acting categories now, and then we'll end with stunt ensemble. So I feel like we'll get through these a little quicker here. For Best Actor, I think, again, most likely to least likely, you have Will Smith, Denzel Washington, Benedict Cumberbatch, Peter Dinklage, and I'm throwing Andrew Garfield in there for this one. I don't have Mahershala, even though it is a streaming one with Apple. I don't know, I think they'll have their fill of Apple with CODA, so I don't necessarily see them going out to that one unless they just really like that performance. And Mahershala has done pretty well at SAG there. He didn't win for Moonlight, but for individual, or no, he did. Sorry, the ensemble he didn't win for. That's right. Yeah, he does have the two. I was going to say he only won the one, but I was thinking of the Globes. The Globes he didn't win for Moonlight, but no, they do like Mahershala there. He's been in those two. He's been in. He won the ensemble, or was part of the ensemble also for Hidden Figures. Was also nominated for the ensemble for Moonlight there. So yeah, they do like their fill of Mahershala, but I don't know. This one, I mean, it feels like, yeah, the Globe nomination was a good, still on the map kind of moment. But other than that, I don't know. The reviews are kind of all over the place for that one. Still positive, but not, outstanding or anything. So that might end up just being a Globes and done kind of deal, unless he makes it in for BAFTA, which could happen. But I don't know. Here at SAG, Andrew Garfield is in Tick Tick Boom. It is a Netflix one. Yeah, I think they'll go with Andrew Garfield here, and that could be your lineup though. Like we said last time for Best Actor: Garfield, Dinklage, Cumberbatch, Washington, and Smith. Yeah. Otherwise, in this category, DiCaprio, I don't think so. I think Don't Look Up is probably gonna just miss everything there at SAG. Nightmare Alley also might miss everything at SAG, except weirdly if it still gets in for stunt ensemble or something. Joaquin Phoenix, Come On is kind of one that just isn't really landing that well, so I don't think so. Some people are looking at the possibility, again, because we talked about kid actors and stuff. Jude Hill, who's the lead actor, the young kid from Belfast. I'm not going to say that's totally out of left field. I'm not going to say that's impossible. I mean, Jacob Tremblay did get in here a few years ago for Room. That was in supporting actor. But I'll tell you what, that's one, I'm not going to put money on it. I'm not going to put him in. But I'll tell you what, I would actually not, if we walk away from the SAG nominations and he gets in there, I'm not going to be like, whoa, where did that come from? I'm like, no, I can see a couple ways where that makes sense. Let's see, for lead actress, Kristen Stewart I think is still out front for Spencer. Then Olivia Colman, Nicole Kidman, Jessica Chastain. They feel like these are relatively the four safer ones. And there's definitely a lot of different possibilities for that fifth slot. And looking at the field, you know what I'm going with? You know what I'm thinking here? I'm thinking Elena Heim for Licorice Pizza. I think this is where Licorice Pizza gets its nomination. I think this is it. And I don't know why. I don't really know why. I haven't seen this one yet. But something just tells me. Something tells me she's going to get in. She did get an actress nomination, not a younger actor or whatever. An actress nomination at Critics' Choice, so that's a good benefit there. And yeah, we're very, once I didn't know until morning of, that once it was in the comedy musical categories or the Globes, yeah, then it was an absolute shoo-in. She was going to get in for that. But I don't know, I'm just looking at it, I'm like, House of Gucci is one that, I don't think I named it there in Ensemble, but that was one, again, maybe has a little bit of an avenue there, but I don't get the sense that's their movie. I think with that one, I think Lady Gaga is very close here. She would probably be the one I would go with if not Elena Heim, but I don't know. I think House of Gucci, I just don't know if the movie is going to be up their alley. If they nominate her, it's more just because they want her there. And I don't mean that in a disparaging way, because obviously Globes, Critics' Choice, a few of the other shows over the years have really been accused of that. But here I think it would be more the popularity of the actress and more just the fact that they like what she's doing as an actress. I think that would be more the thing that gets her in. Obviously, on top of the fact, that she's a very, very popular artist and everything else there still. So, yeah. Otherwise, Jennifer Hudson I had at one point in here, but Respect has kind of just fallen down the roadmap. Except maybe it still has a chance in original song. Penelope Cruz I still have in at the Oscars for Best Actress. Even though Parallel Mothers looks like, well, it'll still get a couple things here and there, but I don't necessarily see that as like a slam dunk for her anymore. And remember here at SAG, other than maybe last year with Minari, the subtitled performances, if you will, the performances that are from international films and everything, they really struggle here at SAG. Antonio Banderas didn't get in, even though he got in just about everywhere else. Nobody from Parasite got in. Tons and tons and tons of examples there. So I don't really see Parallel Mothers being the one that they jump the gun on and say, hey, we're going to get her in. Let's see who else here. I would still say, because it is Netflix, Halle Berry for Bruised is one I would not totally pass on as a complete impossibility. Rachel Zegler, she's still got a shot there for West Side Story. Frances McDormand maybe for Tragedy of Macbeth if they really go for it, but again, Apple, probably CODA's looking a lot better for Best Picture and other nominations there. Really, for Tragedy of Macbeth, it's looking like, okay, you got Denzel. He almost seems like a pretty good bet at this point. Again, even when the movie itself is not doing extremely well, he gets in. The Roman J. Israel Esquire one, for example. Otherwise, I don't see him going, again, all the way with Emilia Jones getting in for CODA. Even if they do get that one, actually, I think it could end up with 3 nominations. Right now, I just have it getting 2, but again, this Best Actress field is surprisingly, there's a lot of possibilities there once you get past the first 4. And I think it's really going to come down to, if we want to go back to that really quick here, Stewart, I don't see missing. Coleman, don't see missing. Kidman is looking more and more safe day by day, but she's one that I can see maybe falling through, and it's kind of a surprise. Kind of like an Amy Adams in Arrival kind of thing, where it's like, we don't really see it, there's no huge exclamation point that says, look out for this. It's just one of those that just doesn't, just falls through. Just one of the other nominees or 2 of the other nominees just have enough more votes or just enough more likability with their role or whatever that they get in over. So that could be it. But then again, this is Nicole Kidman, especially here at SAG, too. She's playing a TV icon, so I don't really see SAG skipping her over. But, and Chastain, I think, again, if just enough people do not see the movie, and really at this point, if you're watching the movie as an Oscar voter, you're watching it for her, potentially for the makeup as well, but really that looks like the only 2 places it could land. That's, again, I'm a little worried about that one for like the A Beautiful Boy, Timothée Chalamet kind of thing here a few years ago, where it's like, oh, we feel like it's a sure bet. On paper, it looks really good, and it has the previous nominations through the season, but just completely falls short. So it's like, okay, so that does leave a little bit more wiggle room there. So we could see potentially only 2 sure bets in this category. But, yeah, I think right now, especially, I would say, you've got those 4, Chastain, Kidman, Coleman, and Stewart. And then it's just, okay, who gets that last slot? Who fights to the death for that last slot? Okay, in the supporting roles, we've got, in supporting actor, I'm actually going to go, I've been saying, maybe I said Tony before, I'm sorry, Troy Kotsur for CODA. I don't know, I just get the sense right now that he's the front runner, and I have had Jared Leto out front for most everything this year. I'm not sure what to do with the Oscars yet, because I still have number 1 there. But obviously he's not number 1 at the Globes because he wasn't nominated, but I just get the feeling with House of Gucci, especially here at SAG, it's either Leto gets in and Lady Gaga gets in, or neither of them get in. So right now I'm thinking neither of them get in. So I put Troy out front there for CODA. Then Ciarán Hinds for Belfast. Then Cody Smith-McPhee for Power of the Dog. Jamie Dornan for Belfast. And that 5th slot is really, maybe even trickier than Best Actress for me. I am going on a weird thing here, weird limb, Jason Isaacs for Mass. I think Mass is one of those small enough movies that even though I don't think it's a huge bet in Ensemble, Ann Dowd is, I would say with the TV stuff she's done, plus the movie stuff, I think there's enough voters going to go for her, and enough of them are going to watch the movie, they're going to look at, oh, I know Jason Isaacs, boom, I think he can land a slot here. But that's just because, again, I'm not really sure who to go with here, because Jared Leto, again, I feel like that's kind of a thing with the Lady Gaga thing, and right now I'm not sensing it. And I could come back on that. I could come back on that and put him in last minute. Bradley Cooper for Licorice Pizza is really losing momentum. Richard Jenkins for The Humans is losing momentum. Jesse Plemons has almost lost all momentum for Power of the Dog. It just feels like it's Cody Smith-McPhee. And the two getting in, we initially thought was going to be him and Cody Smith-McPhee for Power of the Dog. But no, now it's Jamie Dornan and Kieran Hines. So yeah, I don't really see. I don't really see them getting. Yeah, if all the movies last year with the great supporting cast of Trial of Chicago 7 and One Night in Miami, if they couldn't get multiple into supporting actor, to Five Bloods, you could even make a little bit of an argument of that for. If they couldn't even get two of the same actors from the same ensemble nominated in supporting actor, then I don't see how this one gets two from Belfast and two from Power of the Dog. But I kind of look down the list here. I'm like, nothing else is jumping out at me. Absolutely nothing. Corey Hawkins at one point I did have in here for Tragedy of Macbeth, but again, that one is really falling off. J.K. Simmons, he's only got the one Critics' Choice nomination, and without having seen that one, I don't really think that's going to happen. Until I see the movie and until I get proved otherwise. I just don't get a lot of sense with that one. And J.K. Simmons, too, it's like, okay, he won the Globe for Whiplash, and they liked the movie enough to put it in for screenplay and two other acting nominees, Javier Bardem and Nicole Kidman. But they preferred Ben Affleck in The Tender Bar, and that's, no offense to Ben Affleck, or Ben Affleck, as he was nominated by Snoop Dogg. It's like, but it's just really weird how they just couldn't find enough space in that category for J.K. Simmons, though, if he's potentially, looking at another nomination here. So, I don't know. See, I'm just looking down the list, I'm like, no, not thinking it, no, I don't think so. So I'm like, and then Jason Isaacs popped up, I'm like, you know what? Just for now, I'm going to go with it. I'll probably wuss out and go back to both Lady Gaga and Jared Leto getting in, but I don't know. Okay, so that leaves supporting actress here of the solo acting nominees. And then we get to the ensemble there for stunt. So for this one, I'm going with Aja Ellis out front for King Richard for now. But there's a couple of different possibilities here. I don't think there's a real sure heavy front runner here yet. We get a little bit of a sense of that with Best Actor and Best Actress. I'm not really digging it, but the Cody Smith-McPhee kind of feels like a little bit of an early front runner there for supporting actor. But here in supporting actress, it's like, okay, you got people that like Kirsten Dunst, and she's really good in the movie. Aja Ellis, I heard nothing but great things about that. And it's like, okay, other than that, it's like, I don't know. Ann Dowd early on felt like one that, would run the critics' prizes, but that hasn't been happening. Not really. So, it's like, I don't know what to go with here. So, Aja Ellis, I just have kind of as a placeholder right now for King Richard. Then Kirsten Dunst. Then Catriona Balfe for Belfast. Then Ann Dowd I do have in. And then Ariana DeBose I have in for West Side Story. I think, even if it misses Ensemble, I think West Side Story is going to get at least one thing. And I think this could be a very easy place for that. So Marlee Matlin is one I originally had in here. Very easily I could see her get in. Rita Moreno, I don't know if she gets in over Ariana DeBose, but it could be a double there, possibly. Ruth Negga did get the Globe nomination, so that's a possibility. Otherwise, we get a little tougher when we get a little further down the list there. But Marley's one, especially if she gets in here at SAG, then that really bolsters my confidence for the Oscars. What I was kind of the theory I've been running off of is she kind of misses everything, but then gets in at the Oscars. We've seen that happen with quite a few actors over the years here, but that's just on how well CODA does, and everything. But I can see that happening as well. But if she does get the SAG Ensemble, or SAG Ensemble, plus an individual nomination, plus Troy gets in, then it looks like, okay, that's pretty solid there. Okay, so then for Stunt Ensemble, they don't have this on the Gold Derby site right now, so I'm just going with what I have here. I have No Time to Die out front, then Dune, then Shang-Chi, Black Widow, and then you always got to have a weird one in there, so I put The Harder They Fall for now. But there's a couple other ones there. One of the bigger ones here, especially late release here in December, a couple of them actually that I think do stand a pretty good shot. That would be Matrix Resurrections and Spider-Man No Way Home. I was going to say Far From Home, but that was a couple years ago. Anyways, especially Spider-Man. Actually, went to see it again last night because a couple of my gal pals there, they couldn't go when I went. Got tickets for them and everything, but they couldn't make it. So we're like, yeah, they wanted to see it really bad. So I'm like, yeah, I'll see it again. What really stood out to me the second time around is, man, the choreography in some of those fight sequences is actually really good. Like, you get to, like, the, especially, and I know a lot of it's CG, too, but the Doc Ock fight on the bridge and stuff, the choreography and stuff in that is really good. So, again, a lot of that is visual effects, for sure, and it's not always stunts, specifically. But it's such a big monster hit, too. Yeah, I don't know. That's one I could come back to and say, you know what, Spider-Man. Yeah, I can see that. And then Matrix as well. You know, a lot of that is kind of the more, you know, slow-mo kung fu stuff and everything. And obviously they did not have a stunt ensemble prize when any of the Matrix films were coming out. But that's one I can see him kind of bouncing back to if just enough people like it. I know critics have been kind of split on it. A couple of my relatives went to see it Christmas Day and they were like, it was okay. But they thought the first half was really slow, but yeah, that's one. It's a late enough release too. It got, you know, some of the screenings were kind of later, so I can see that one also kind of getting some demerits for that. The only other Marvel movie, and this is the only one I have not seen in theaters since the first Captain America, by the way. So that's a 10-year streak that I just broke of seeing, you know, the latest Marvel movie in theaters. Eternals. It's pretty much all gone now. From theaters and everything, so I haven't been able to see that one yet. That's the only other Marvel one, because it's like, I believe it was 2018, you had Infinity War and Ant-Man and Black Panther all get the ensemble nominations there in the stunt category, so yeah. They do like their Marvel here, so that's why Shang-Chi, and I think Black Widow, since it's more, you know, female stunts and stuff, kind of like Wonder Woman and stuff, which won last year. Yeah, I think they'd go Black Widow, then they'd go that over Spider-Man and over Eternals. Let's see, then a couple of your other Best Picture potentials that could sneak in there for an ensemble prize in the stunt category would be Belfast. Just because, you know, there is some stuff, especially toward the beginning, where it's like, okay, some of the characters kind of running around. There's some kind of scenes there that are kind of almost mob scenes, whatever. Trial of the Chicago 7 did get in last year for very similar things. So I might, later on, pull Harder They Fall and put in Belfast instead. But, yeah, I anticipate more of the heavy blockbusters in there this year than the last couple of years. And then one other one, again, more choreography-wise, would be West Side Story. Maybe gets in. Having not seen it, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's some knife fights or whatever, like there is in the original film and everything. But the sharks and the jets and everything. But I don't know. That one doesn't immediately jump out as like a total possibility in this stunt category. But it's one where it's like, you know what? Especially if it does become an ensemble nominee, gets one or two supporting actresses in there, and gets stunt. Okay, maybe it's a surprise and it gets tied or gets the most nominations on SAG morning. So I don't know. Maybe that's a possibility too that we're not looking too hard at. Okay, otherwise I think that's about it for me, so we'll go ahead and be done here. And again, we'll come back to these nominees, final predictions here, when we get closer to the actual nominations, which again are January the 12th, 2 weeks from today. So, yeah, I know, there's a couple things I might switch around, but otherwise I feel like, yeah, some of them are a little more solid than others, but yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.